we do have a little FUD out there, okay, from one Mt. Gox and from somewhere else too. So Mt. Gox moves 130 million to Bitstamp. This is pretty normal. They've been doing large transfers to Kraken and now to Bitstamp to a lot of places, right? And they're doing it so that the exchanges can distribute to the creditors. I guess a lot of these, that's how they worked it out, right? With Kraken, they did it exactly that, and they're doing it with Bitstamp. I'm sure they're going to do it with Coinbase, and they're going to do it with Gemini, and they're going to do it with everyone else, right? As of right now, they still have about $6 billion worth of Bitcoin left, about 90,000 Bitcoin, which is a lot less already. They started out with 130,000, I think, to distribute, which means they already gave away 40,000. They still have 6 billion, but you know, what's a 6 billion here or there, right? Germany had 3 billion to give away, and they did. Well, actually, they didn't give away. They just dumped it, right? Mt. Gox is not dumping. They're just giving it back to people. So there's a big difference there. But this 6 billion will be over soon enough. But it's causing some FUD today. The thing is, this has been causing FUD for so many years. I can't wait, and I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same way. Let's just get over this. Just like rip off the Band-Aid. Just give out 6 billion already, right? Then once and for all, we no longer have to worry about Mt. Gox dumping on the market, right? This has been talked about for years upon years upon years. Every single cycle that we have, we talk about how Mt. Gox is going to dump on the market, and it never happens. It's not really happening right now either. So just can't wait for this to be over. And it soon will be over. So we do have a little FUD around this morning. We also have a little FUD around the U.S. government. We just got done talking about how Trump and his administration, or yes, may be making Bitcoin a reserve currency or a strategic asset if he gets reelected. And how the U.S. government, the Department of Justice, holds an enormous amount of Bitcoin, 200,000 plus Bitcoin. So we just got done talking about that. Yet the Department of Justice seems to be selling off little amounts of Bitcoin at a time. So 4 million was just moved to Coinbase. Most likely that is to be sold, right? But why now? Why 4 million? Do they really need 4 million? What is it going to do exactly? No one knows. Okay, but they are selling it. And they have 14.6 billion. So they have approximately 213,000 Bitcoin, worth about 14.17 billion. But they also have 50,000 ETH, 176 million, and they have 121 million in USDT. See, why did they need to sell off any Bitcoin at all? They have 121 million USDT. They have a stable coin. If they needed a 5 million, or what was it, 5 million? 4 million. They could just take it out of USDT. So that doesn't even quite make a whole lot of sense. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. It's really strange. They have USDT. Maybe they don't even realize they have USDT. Maybe they just think they have Bitcoin. They don't have anything else. Maybe that's the reason. They have 122 million. Why did they need to sell out $4 million worth of Bitcoin? That makes no sense whatsoever. Anyways, I can't explain that. We will see. We will see what happens. Hey, we have a little bump right there. Little fake out bump upwards. Anyways, moving past this, don't know what the U.S. government is doing with that decision, but we know even with all the FUD, okay, what's really happening is the big money and the smart money, they are loading up, right? Regardless of what the U.S. government is doing or what Germany has done or what Mt. Gox is doing or all this fuddish things that you cannot control. What you can control is what you do, right? And if you pay attention, the big boys are loading up. So what you can do is mimic these guys. You can follow these guys and realize that this is how they're doing it. This is how they're manipulating the market. This is how they're driving retail investors out, right? With all the FUD, and they load up. So I've already talked about this last night, but BlackRock took in 526 million inflow, right? In a single day, and surprisingly, that's not the largest day. They had inflows of way more, but it is one of the largest. And BlackRock's ETF now holds 335,000 Bitcoins. 335,000 Bitcoins, which is, yes, way more than the US government and way more than Mt. Gox currently. They have been loading up, loading up, loading up, loading up. And here's the thing. I know a lot of people say, well, George, this is not BlackRock loading up itself, right? This is just retail this is just institution loading up. Of course, that's true. But I've pointed this out many, many times. Out of how many days since January till now, despite Bitcoin having huge up and down days, there's only been one day with the outflow. Think about it. Every other fund out there, including Fidelity's, who's absolutely huge, and of course Grayscale, every single other fund had pluses and negatives constantly based on markets. It makes sense, with the exception of BlackRock. BlackRock's IBET only had one day of outflow, and I think they messed up and they allowed it. But every other day is either inflow or zero. They refuse to get rid of any Bitcoin. And I know Larry Fink, he's behind that. He's planning something. And he said, I've covered this. He's putting IBIT into other funds that people don't realize. So he's essentially buying his own fund with his other funds, which means he's loading up. And I'm sure he's loading up on Bitcoin too. We just don't know the addresses. Okay, Arkham hasn't found them yet. There are probably a lot of hidden addresses out there. So what BlackRock and institutions are doing is they're loading up. They're loading up like crazy. Okay, so look at this. Even though BlackRock is the leader at 327,000, Grayscale, despite their selling, still holds 272,000 Bitcoin. Fidelity also just got done mentioning 180,000 Bitcoin. These are not small numbers. These are tens of billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. And then you still have like someone like ARK and Bitwise and everyone else. You add them all together, it's significant amount. Almost 1 million Bitcoin in total. Not $1 million, 1 million Bitcoin, right? So that's what you should pay attention to. Why are the institutions, why are hedge funds and public trade companies, why are gaming companies, and why are just random companies around the world loading up and putting Bitcoin into reserve? Because they now understand, they believe, okay, that this is the greatest asset to hold. Maybe they don't believe it's the greatest asset to hold, but they definitely believe it is an asset to hold that hedges against inflation, that hedges against their buying power and their treasury full of fiat, which basically disappears over time, right? So this is what's important, and I think a lot of people overlook this. If you want to comment on anything I've said in this video, make sure you head over to the Roundtable. The Roundtable is a new social media platform created for conversations. And best of all, it's spam-free, bot-free, unlike here on YouTube. And you could have conversations with me and others like Altcoin Daily, Scott Melker, Mauro Nafal, and many others are joining daily. And you also get rewarded in tokens for doing so. So check out the new Roundtable. Click the link in the description below.